All right, we are live, gentlemen. Welcome to Man Cave Sports on a busy sports night with NHL and plenty of NBA action taking place. Indiana Pacers have just ousted Giannis and the Milwaukee Bucks in overtime. Interesting. Sorry, I'm a little distracted because there was a lot of madness on the court afterwards. I think a couple of guys were getting into it. It looks like Giannis is hugging a couple of guys now, but it looks like there was some bad blood as the players left the court, which, let's be honest, we're here for it. We've been seeing it in the first round of the playoffs, a lot of chippy stuff. And so far, so good. I think some of these series are a little bit one-sided. Maybe we didn't see that for some of them, but nonetheless, I'm enjoying the first round of NBA action, and we are here to talk about the Minnesota Timberwolves victory over the Los Angeles Lakers on Sunday. Fortunately, 3 of the 5 of us happened to be there. Did a preview show from Surly beforehand, Ramon and Brett. So if you have not seen that yet, be sure to check it out. Good stuff. And I think I'll start out with you guys first. I'm going to go to you, Brett, because we met up before, we hung out afterwards. You were there all weekend, and a great time. But let's talk about Sunday and just your take on that game in particular and being there in person.
Yeah, no, it was awesome to catch up with the boys and hang out before and after what was really just a magical day in Timberwolves land. Man, that was so cool. Like I said, there's something about a Sunday matinee in the spring on First Avenue. There's a lot of special ghosts on that street. So it's just cool to be able to spill out into that chaos after a big win. But man, what a win. What an atmosphere. It was just great to be in Minneapolis for game 3 and 4, fortunately, man. I just so thankful for the opportunity to be there physically for both of those games. And I think kind of the one thing that stood out to me from my experience was, Mike, as we kind of talked about a little bit on Twitter today, that Naz Reid 3 to get us back within 2. I happened to be having a little bit of a moment. I stepped out into the hallway just to kind of pace around and just not necessarily mail it in. I didn't think I wasn't throwing the white flag, but I was just trying to come to terms with where we were. I'm like, okay, we might not get this one. And that's okay if we don't. We'll go back to LA Tide. We already took one at their house. I'm just kind of, going through this dialogue in my head, like Rui's hot today somehow, might just not be our day. And then I hear the crowd pop in a way that I've never heard it before. Like I'm out there in Crunch's kids zone in the hallways of the 200s solo. Like nobody's out there with me. And I hear that crowd pop and I don't know what happened, but I know that the crowd pops. I'm like, oh my God, what happened? And then it just kind of simmers down and you just hear that sound. The Nas made you look brave hearts. And I'm like, oh, yeah, Nas did something. It must be a 3. And then I come back in and probably down 2. And I was like, oh my God, here we go. Better dial in. And I am glad that I made my way back in to dial in because, man, what ensued was just it was beautiful. Beautiful. Everyone just stifling defense, just smothering those guys. Was a little worried about not sliding Rudy back in for the last defensive possession after Ant's free throw. But, the way that they played, it was just so perfect. Jaden picks up Luka full court, makes him work. They get the switch. Nas on Luka. Nas holds his own. Luka hits Braun. Julius is mauling him. Ant comes over for the double. We leave it up to Austin Reeves. You're going to have to leave it up to one of the 3 of those guys to make the shot. You can't guard them all. You can't double them all. And we left it on an Austin Reeves corner 3. Unfortunately, the bounce went our way. And, man, just another incredible pop in Target Center. So those are the moments you just really have to savor. I don't know what will or won't happen for the rest of this series. And we still have a lot of series to go. We got to close these guys out. Still got a lot of playoffs left to go if we are fortunate enough to close them out. But you really just have to savor those moments because as Timberwolves fans, we've only had so many of them. 04 Game 7, the play-in was kind of cool. Game 82 against Denver, but you just I think we've all kind of learned you will never count our chickens before they hatch. We do have a lot of series. We have not closed this one out yet. but just enjoy that day, just savor it. I'm glad that we all got to get together at the bar afterward and digest it, and hopefully we have all enjoyed the win, sipped on it, and go into tomorrow night, a late one in LA, ready to roll. So,
No
yeah,
doubt.
that's where I'm at, man.
No doubt. Ramon, tell us a little bit about your experience. And I mean, I know both you and Brett, along with myself, we've been to countless Wolves games,
Yeah.
meaningful games. Brett's been to a lot of road games too. Just give us your take on Sunday's experience.
Well, it was electric. I think Brett said that. It was the drama was there. The box office stars were there with Luca, with LeBron, with Anthony Edwards. I think it's fair to call him a box office star now. And they all delivered. As a fatalistic Minnesota sports fan, when they were down 10 going into the fourth, and when Rudy threw that unfortunate elbow into the back of LeBron's head, I thought to myself, here we go. I think we're going back to LA 2-2. And normally I would have just totally, like I think Brett said it, mailed it in, totally thrown in the towel mentally. But there is something different about this team with Anthony Edwards where you just don't ever feel like they're going to give up. You don't feel like they're ever really out of the game. And he delivered in just in massive way. And Nas Reed delivered despite a terrible start to the game. I was texting you guys, I was texting other people how irritated I was with Nas Reed. But I mean, the guy scored 8 points in the final quarter. And I don't remember when it happened, but Mike Conley wasn't, a huge factor in many ways. 0 for 4 from three, only 2 assists, but he had that just incredible block on a 40-year-old legend in LeBron James that, helped set the tone, I think, throughout the game that they weren't going to give up. And it just really was, something to behold. So I'm really thankful that I got a chance to view it and be there.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'll say this. I've never physically, I just did something different to me, man. I have never, I mean, obviously the emotional toll leads to some of the physical, but I've been to the Minneapolis Miracle. I've been to when the Gophers offed Penn State, I believe almost 6 years ago. One of the probably the most significant win in that program's football since the 60s, And I'll tell you what, I've never felt anything like that one, man. That was just a range of emotions, highs and lows, drama. I mean, you got Ant, who we all watch and love against LeBron and Luca. It was great. We, I don't know. It's going to be tough to ever replicate that experience. I mean, obviously, hopefully they do, but it was insane. So we'll get on to with the rest of the game with the panel here. First person I want to bring up is Steve. We going into this series, you heard a lot, especially from opposing fans, about Julius Randle in the playoffs. Through 4 games, Julius Randle has been pretty damn good. I know game one, I think he struggled a little bit, but the past 3 games, and particularly the first half, I believe he had 21 in the first half on Sunday. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, he had a 3 at the end of the half to give us a 3-point lead, which unfortunately they gave up a 14-0 run to start the second half. But talk about Jules, or Sticky Fingers, as we affectionately refer to him as on this show, and his performance on Sunday.
Yeah, the Lakers came out and they said, okay, we're going to throw our 2 big guns at you the entire game, and played Luca and LeBron 40, almost the entire game. And the Timberwolves said, we'll see you and we'll match that. Randall did 43, Edwards did 44. And Randall, physical, hustle plays, taking on LeBron, taking on Luca, whoever he needs to. He came out, got the team started in the right direction. We didn't start off with a big hole in the first quarter. And he's been doing that all series. Even the game we lost, he put up 27 points or something like that. Not the most efficient shooting night, but the fact that he's getting those shots, like Ant was telling him to do, that helps us out because we're winning. We're winning it as much as it doesn't seem like we're winning the rebound battle. So yeah, we close this out. I might have to have just a big 5-minute segment apologizing to Sticky Fingers for all the trash I've given. And some of it deservedly so. But you know what? The last 2 games, we really haven't seen the bad turnovers, right? I think in game 1, he had 7 turnovers, and we really haven't seen that the last couple games. I think he's really settled in with Ant, and I think he's really settled in with the rhythm of this team, and is really becoming a force to be his physicality, his ability to drive. Yeah, it's something that it's an element that we didn't have last year with that additional physicality. So I'm going to give him his props. And like I said, if we close the Lakers out, I might have to do just a 5-minute segment of just singing his praises. I'll tell you what.
Yeah, and obviously he's had a great series. We all know Ant's had a great series. I mean, I'm sure we could all talk till we're blue in the face about that. Brian, I want you to talk about Jaden McDaniels because he started out the year rough. I remember in our Hungry Like the Wolves cast early in the season, I remember specifically saying, has Jaden McDaniels now become a trade asset? You know what I'm saying? You didn't see that maturation necessarily in his game. In fact, he seemed to regress from the start of, from his season last year where he made second team all defensive. But we saw flashes of it last year in the playoffs, but playoff Jaden seems like just a different animal. And not only with his play, both defense and offense, just with the stuff he's saying to the other players and the way he's getting physical out there and just his attitude in general. So Brian, talk about Jaden's game on Sunday, because he started out a little slow, but he had some clutch plays in that fourth quarter.
Absolutely. I mean, I remember those texts and calls and then our shows, and we're like, hey, did he just get his money and did he just kind of just check out? Is he that kind of guy? And we were all concerned about it. But he's been incredible. I mean, he's just not a D guy. He's just not a 3-and-D guy. He's doing all, and just with high volume and high percentages. It's just, it's wonderful to see. And Luka doesn't know what to do with him. Last year, Jaden punched the wall at Sacramento. Remember that? We all remember that. And we didn't get to see Jaden on Luka last year while he was destroying us in the Western Conference Finals. This is a total new thing for us after watching the playoffs last year. And let's just keep hoping. Hope it continues.
Yeah, that was actually 2 years ago.
Right, correct.
Yep. All right, no worries. But yeah, Jaden's been, we heard going into the series how I heard this all over the place that the Lakers had 3 of the best 4, putting, Austin Reeves up on par right behind, and some fans would even argue ahead of Anthony Edwards, but Luka, LeBron, basically that Austin Reeves was the 4th biggest star in this series. And, a lot of us have been interacting with Timberwolves Twitter, some of the beat writers, et cetera. And a couple of us made the point yesterday. It's just like, who would you take Austin Reeves over a Julius Randle or a Jaden McDaniels on your team right now? So to me, it's just like, I think they underestimated and didn't give enough credit to what Jules and Jaden have brought to this, because to me, there are big 3 in this series. They performed consistently throughout it. So just good to see that. And Brett, I'm going to go to you. Let's go on the flip side now. A lot has been made of the minutes from the Lakers. They kept the same 5 players out the entire second half. Talk a little bit about the impact on that, or what you think the impact of that is.
Yeah, I mean, I guess my hope going into game 5 is that they are just wiped after playing the entire fourth quarter. As the 2 gentlemen that we just gave their flowers, Julius and Jaden. I think Julius beating these guys up down low has been massive, and I think Jaden basically playing like a de facto 7-footer in the absence of the tall trees in LA to deal with. Like he mentioned earlier in the series, once Jackson Hayes is off the court, Jaden's the tallest guy on the court. And I think that's shown through, and I think he's played like a 7-footer. And again, I think Julius just beating these guys up. LeBron being 40 years old. Luka just not his conditioning always being kind of a suspect dynamic of his game. Hopefully, hopefully there's a price to pay in game 5. I'm ready for their best punch again. I think that bright lights, LA, crypto.com arena, LeBron, Luca back against the wall. We're gonna get their best. We're gonna get their best stuff. But I don't know, man. Like you play your guys 24 minutes in the second half with no subs in a intense, emotional, physical game like that, and then you give them what like 72 hours to recover and fly back to LA, 4-hour flight, and these aren't the youngest guys on earth. LeBron being 40 and Luka just not being in incredible shape. Hopefully, it comes back to bite them. And that was another reason that when we went into this series, I mentioned this was the one that I wanted. I wanted LA, because I really want that win. I think that no matter what happens the rest of the playoffs, us owning a win over the Los Angeles Lakers would mean something to this franchise. It would mean something to the city to beat the team that dipped out on us in 1960 and took all of our banners with them. So yeah, just hopefully we see the residual effects of that decision by JJ Redick to play his starting 5. Well, it was even starting. Yeah, hopefully those guys having to play 24 minutes in the second half. And I know our guys played a lot of minutes too, as Steve mentioned, like Julius with 43 and Ant with a ton of minutes, but there's a little less wear and tear when like the vibes are high, right? Like the emotions are, your adrenaline's carrying you through and you're winning. So, I mean, hopefully there's a little bit of dejection and, what else can we do? We don't really have anything so we can throw out these guys. So,
and not to mention the other players were getting rotated, and obviously Conley got minutes. Rudy, struggled offensively, got some rebounds, but he and Nas were coming in and out. So definitely, definitely.
A couple Terrence Shannon minutes to spell the foul trouble. That was nice.
Yeah,
nice to be able to do that.
Razor, talk about, Luka had a great first half, as did LeBron. I mean, they were up in the 20s. I thought they were both going to put up 40 pieces. And obviously, LeBron, the second half, and in particularly the fourth quarter, not a lot of offense out of him. But talk about some of the other players, because I thought Reeves had a decent game. He hit some clutch shots in the fourth. And Rui Hachimura was giving me nightmares all day because he had a whale of a game, I thought, on both ends of the court. I mean, he was all over the place. So you saw Laker fans telling you, wait till Rui has that game. And I think he had that. I thought there were 4 main guys, if you want to include Rui along with LeBron, Luka, and Reeves. I thought they all played pretty decently. So I came out of there feeling pretty good. Like, are the Lakers going to be able to play any better than they did in that game? Talk about Rui and Reeves, though, in their game and contributions to what came down to the end there.
I mean, that might have been the best game that I'd ever seen Rui Hachimura play, to be honest with you. He's been, talented guy, played on a bad team for a long time, got to the Lakers, and I think he's been very up and down. But I think he's kind of been pulling a Houdini during this series up until this game. And I mean, he dropped 5 threes on 10 attempts. Looks like Reeves was 5 of 12. So the two of them combined to be 10 of 22. And the Wolves still won. I mean, what does that tell you? I mean, and even Dorian Finney-Smith, he didn't shoot great. 2 for 6 from 3, but he had 8 boards and 6 assists. That kind of shocked me. And it felt like he hit almost every 3 that he took. But
he hit a clutch one there that gave them a 2-point lead with around a minute left.
Right. And, Luka went off. LeBron went off. Rui went off. Austin Reeves had a very good game, but they just, like, as we talked about, they just kind of ran out of gas. The Wolves just kept hanging around, throwing body shots, and eventually just wore them down. And JJ Redick, I think, was in full-on desperation mode. And frankly, he doesn't really have many other good options. I mean, Jared Vanderbilt hasn't improved since he left the Wolves. Gabe Vincent was pretty good for the Miami Heat a couple years ago, but he's a shell of himself, I think. And Jordan Goodwin, he's a hustle guy, but he doesn't even want to shoot. So I mean, we have to feel great, I think, that the Lakers really brought everything they had, and they still lost. And the Wolves, Mike, you and I were talking about this earlier today. The Wolves have left a lot on the court. I mean, not on the court, but a lot of guys are not playing very well. I mean, Rudy Gobert is not putting up his usual numbers, and he's not having his usual effect. Mike Conley has been up and down, but he's been shooting very poorly. Nikhil Alexander-Walker, I don't think, is shot that well. Dante DiVincenzo, although he's a rim protector, three blocks 2 games ago, and then 5 steals on Sunday, he's not shooting great either. So I feel like the Wolves can play even better. And I don't know if the Lakers can, to be honest with you. So I'm feeling really good about where we are, not just the 3-1 um advantage, but it just seems like the Lakers have thrown all their best punches and it hasn't gone their way.
Steve, talk about the officiating because I mean the NBA fans in general and for every team, everybody's complaining about the officiating. And there's a lot of questionable calls. I mean, this weekend there were games decided, or at least impacted by officiating. You had Aaron Gordon's dunk as time expired. You had the non-fall in the Knicks and Pistons game, which I was literally watching take place as the Wolves game was about to start. So I was watching that from my seat on my phone. There were some questionable ones in this game, probably none more than 2 towards the end of the game. The non-call where Luka stepped on Jaden's foot. The NBA came out and said technically that should have been a foul. As a Wolves fan, I'm certainly not going to cry about it. But also the foul on LeBron there with 10 seconds left, which was huge, basically decided the game right there. Great challenge by Finch. I have to say that Finch has coached a whale of a series. He's 7 for 7 on challenges. And you see the impact of that because there were definitely calls that didn't go the Lakers' way, but they lost their challenge. I think it was in the first quarter, and it handcuffed them the rest of the game. Either way, early in the game, they lost their ability to challenge, and it might have helped them later in the game. It might have been, it could have impacted the ending of the game. But talk about the officiating.
Yeah, the officiating this playoffs season has been a little suspect, very inconsistent. It's one thing when you miss a call at the end of the game when it's close and it's touch and go, you get stuff like that. But, it's been very inconsistent. And I think it's led to, a little bit more physical play, which is fine by me. I don't mind a little more physical play. Ant getting up in LeBron's chest and making him earn it. That's fine. I don't mind physicality. I think where it's frustrating is when you have, Luka jumping up in the air and then throwing his body into somebody who's straight up and down in their cylinder and they get the call, right? That's the type of stuff that infuriates you. When you've got somebody that, there's another one that Luka had where he's driving to the hoop. Nobody even touches him, but he falls and they call, stuff like that. That's what's infuriating is when we're rewarding the flopping. And, but those 2 calls in particular, okay, if you step on somebody's foot, you're an idiot. Okay. I don't know what else to tell you, right? You're stepping on somebody's foot and you fall down. I'm sorry. If the guy puts his leg way out and it's obvious, sure, call the trip, I guess. But when Jaden's just trying to keep, get his body up in front of him and try to keep pace with him and stuff, and you step on his foot, that's your own stupid fault. LeBron thing, cry all you want. He hit him right on the wrist. You hit him on the wrist, you hit him on the forearm. Hand is part of the ball, but the forearm and the wrist are not. So you've got to, they've got to be more consistent. They've got to stop rewarding the flopping stuff. That's just ridiculous. I think there needs to be rule changes to take a look at that for this next year so that people can challenge for a flop. Start, like we talked about before, start putting in some penalties for that, fines and suspensions and techs and everything else, because that's what's more than anything ruining the game. But the referee, the officiating's got to be more consistent. That's for sure. You're going to end up with fights. You're going to end up with problems. More consistency. We want the refs to control the game, not from a physical standpoint, not from an outcome standpoint.
Razor, I know do you have to dip out? I know you're cutting it close. You're muted.
I have a few more minutes.
Okay. We'll try to pick up the pace here a little bit. Be naughty.
What
Talk a
up?
little bit about the physicality in this series because it was great to see, and he's done it 2 straight games, Ant bodying up on LeBron, getting physical with him. Rudy, it was ill-advised, but I didn't realize this at the time. I mean, LeBron had hip checked him. Rudy got pissed, elbowed him in the back of the head. Shade McDaniels has been talking a lot of stuff to Luka. It's getting pretty chippy out there, and I think should the Wolves jump on them or start getting in their heads a little bit tomorrow night, you could see things escalate a little bit. But talk a little bit about the physicality and especially with Ant, because Ant's out there and he basically said, I'm letting them know that you're not going to push us around.
Absolutely, man. It's great to see because how long have we been watching LeBron? We've been watching that guy for like 20, 21 years, and he's been acting like a tough guy. Nobody ever really challenges them. And I love the young buck is out there. I'm in full court too, just all over him. I mean, and that's huge. It looks like he's about to cry. It really does. I've actually slowed it down and watched it in slow motion. He is so frustrated. And yeah, you got to keep the pedal to the metal on that. And there's the other thing with Jules. Jules lays some body on LeBron when Ant's not on him. And I think it's great. And I think they got to keep going. And I'm going to give it to my coach, Finchy. I think he's kind of behind a little bit of that, which I got to give him. I'm glad that he had that challenge at the end there, Mr. Steve. That was excellent coaching. And as far as Rudy, as my esteemed colleague, Razor Ramon said, this isn't like his best outing in the playoffs, and this is not his best stretch, but he is playing physical when he is out there. And this whole thing that Luka is his just like demon and the thing he sweats from. Luka's when Rudy's been on Luka the last 2-3 games, it's been solid, and you got to keep going, especially in LA for sure. Keep it going.
All right. Let's talk about tomorrow night's game. I believe it's 9 p.m. start here, Central Local Time in Minnesota. Big opportunity for the Wolves to close the show. Brett, let's start with you. What are you looking forward to tomorrow night? You don't have to give predictions or anything, but what do you see taking place, or what are you looking forward to for tomorrow's game?
Yeah, just kind of piggyback off Razor's last take and something I kind of mentioned in our preview at Surly. I think that there's certain things that have not happened yet. The Wolves being up 3-1 doesn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me the other direction either. It wasn't like I'm saying that I expected this, but it does not surprise me that we're up 3-1. We're not up 3-1 in the way that I thought, though. In the way that I thought, like Rudy was gonna fucking like give you 15 and 10 every night. I thought that Naw was going to be going off. So I think, I think that we still have some big games in the chamber from some of the guys that haven't shown up yet. Naw, Devo, and Rudy. I think that if one of those guys can come through tomorrow, and then the rest of the cast continues what they were doing, and then again, hopefully LA's tired out, man. Hopefully these minutes are getting to them. Hopefully the age is getting to them, and hopefully we can close it out. If not, we'll bring it back to the crib and close it out there. But I feel pretty good. I think we all should feel pretty good about where we're at right now.
Razor, as Kobe once said, job's not finished. So talk about tomorrow night's game and your take on how you think it might play out.
I've been saying it all year. I said it in our preview show at Surly that complacency is always my concern about this team. They've been doing it all season. When they are they're not the underdogs, they sometimes kind of come out with less energy than is demanded, than is needed. That said, I think this team is ready. I think that, again, they've taken the Lakers' best shots one at a time, two at a time, three at a time, and they seem ready for this moment. I think they're going to close them out tomorrow night. I think the bench mob, as Brett alluded to, is going to come up big. I think Dante, I've said this now 2 games in a row, I think he's due for a good shooting night. Love the way, though, that he, despite his shooting woes, is impacting the game in other ways. So kudos to him and Nas, despite a very shaky first 3 quarters to finish the way he did. That was a lot about the mental toughness of this team and that they just never give up. They never really lose complete focus throughout an entire game. So I think they're going to close it out tomorrow. I think Ant's going to come out and want to end it in LA and put this series to bed. And looks like they better start getting ready for the Golden State Warriors.
Interesting. Ramon, if you got a drop, feel free to while I close up
All
the
right.
rest of the guys. And
All right, guys. I'll listen to your takes later. Thanks for having me.
And we'll definitely see you again on here on Thursday.
All right. Take care.
See you, Razor. Mr. Steve, thoughts on tomorrow night's game?
Yeah, I think we took their best punch playing straight up ball Sunday. Hachimura, what you guys already talked about it, right? LeBron, pushing 30 points, Luka pushing 40, Hachimura pushing 30, Reeves pushing 20. We took their best punch for straight up basketball. So I'm expecting they're going to go back to game 2. I'm expecting they're going to try to mix it up. They're going to have Vando get in there and be a pest. I think they're going to try to get into Dante's head and Nas's head and whoever else's head that they can get into. They're going to try to put us off our game. The only way that they have a chance to do that, I think, to win the game, other than us just coming out completely sleepwalking, is they got to make it dirty. They got to mix it up. They've got to get us frustrated, get us emotional. If the refs get involved and is this how you do that? Is this how you do that with the tinfoil?
I gotta sit right there.
All right. So if the refs get involved and we start getting bad whistles and they're getting, the floppy whistles and stuff like that, it's really going to depend on our maturity, right? Do we have enough emotional maturity? Can Finch get them through it? Can he provide that composure, get guys in and out quickly and be able to have an answer for what LA is going to do? So LA, I expect LeBron and Luka are probably going to play a lot of minutes again, but I expect to see a lot more of those their bench players coming in to mix it up, try to get in our heads and try to get us emotional and get us off our game. That's the only. It's kind of like hockey, right? If you can't run them up, you got to run them out, right? You got to run them into the boards, you lay the lumber into them, and I'm expecting fully that tomorrow night's game is going to be a lot more like a hockey match where they're going to try to get in our heads.
All right, Mr. Naughton.
Yeah, it's back in LA. What is it called? Crypto Arena now. The Luka and LeBron, according to Adam Silver, they're his golden boys, and they played well in game 2 there. But our bench is just so deep. Our confidence is so sky high. Our coach is the best coach on that floor. Yeah, and I along with Sticky Fingers apology, you're going to have to do 5 minutes on that too, Mr. Steve. But all right, I can't help it. It's on. We're being called. Lakers are getting 3-1 fouls on us. They're trying, and I firmly believe that they're going to try to keep the series going just because the high ratings. We're going to really have to come out and punch them in the mouth right away because I have a feeling that there's going to be a lot of help coming for those guys this time around. Hey, granted the Luka thing, stepping on the foot, if that was in LA, that would have been called. It's just the refs don't want to make a call like that on the road. So if I was a betting man, I would expect that this game will be close with a little bit of help. And I hope we close them out. If not, just like Brett says, come back to the crib and bring your ass.
All right. Appreciate it. Yeah. For me, I think the big thing, I think we have a great chance. I am not ready to declare this series over, start looking ahead to the next team, et cetera. I just want to get this win. I did read something interesting this afternoon where JJ Redick basically said that it wasn't fatigue, that, their players just missed layups, which they did, et cetera. So I don't know that he's going to make much for adjustments. He started Finney Smith in the second half, but they're going to definitely be a desperate team. So I would say something's going to transpire tomorrow night that's going to have us dropping our jaw or so, you know what I'm saying? I just sense something's going to be very interesting. Is it the Wolves closing them out? Maybe. Is it somebody from the Lakers bench coming in and doing damage that we didn't see? I don't know. Like I said, because Sunday, their top 4 players all had pretty good games. And, the Timberwolves are going to be tired too, but they're, Ant's a little bit younger than obviously LeBron and even Luka. And despite the number of minutes that him and Jules are putting in, the rest of the guys are rotating out there. Rudy's going in and out. Nas, Jaden even's getting plenty of rest. You got Nikhil coming in there. Dante getting plenty of minutes. Mike Conley's minutes have been down, but rightfully so. He's had a rough series, although he had a huge block against LeBron in that game, man. So yeah, I'm just excited for tomorrow. I'd love to see them close out. Will they? Hopefully. I think they're capable of it. I think Ant, we've watched him for 4 seasons now in the playoffs, and I still remember his first playoff game. And I mean, aside from the play-in games that he played as well, but his first game against Memphis as a 19 or 20-year-old kid, scored like 37 or 38 on the road against the number 2 seed. So I know he had a rough series against Dallas in the Western Conference Finals, but outside of that, man, he has just been dynamite in the playoffs ever since his second season in there when they, and if I'm not mistaken, I had the number the other day, but he's got 15 playoff wins. Mm-hmm. And so, well, you got to figure they've been eliminated a few times there. So he definitely, he's got close to 30 games if you include the play-in games as well. So, I mean, he's a playoff veteran even at 30. Or at 30. He's a playoff veteran at 23, averaging 30 points a game, et cetera, in the playoffs. So I don't think the moment's too big for him. I think he'll go out there and set the tone, and we'll see where the chips fall. I'm just excited that they have the closeout opportunity tomorrow. I mean, if you're a Wolves fan, I mean, could the series have gone any better up to this point? I mean, did any of us expect them to be up 3-1? I think a lot of us picked them in 6. And what I love is the national pundits, ESPN 10 out of 10, picked the Lakers. I think the Athletics 6 of 7. So, I mean, nobody gave the Wolves a chance in this, and they've already exceeded the media's expectation. Now, the only concern is if they keep riding playoff success, do you really want the Perks, the Shaqs, the Stephen A's, Skip frickin' Bayless, who basically declared the game over the other day in one of his tweets, which I made sure to mock him and make fun of him. And, he egg on his face once again. Skip Bayless is a moron. But anyways, that's all I got. Excited for tomorrow night. Excited to watch these games. I got Orlando. Orlando's up by 8 right now, 38-30. I don't know what's going on in the Pistons Knicks game. I got that on in a different TV, so I'll have to check that out. But we will definitely get back Thursday to talk some Wild Timberwolves. Brett, I don't know if you can make it. I don't think you can you, on Thursday?
Yeah, Thursdays are rough. I'll do my best, but yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, if it's a little later in the evening, would it work easier for you?
Yeah, potentially. Yeah, if it's a little later.
Okay. Either way, yeah, we're going to be back Thursday to recap last night's game, or last night's game, tomorrow night's game. Yeah, and hopefully we're not previewing a Friday game. So appreciate you guys. That's it for Man Cave Sports Timberwolves Game 4 review. And we will see you guys in a couple of days. Thank you, gentlemen.
See you there.